let's welcome building trust and credibility with customers, how cloud hyperscalers are empowering their channel partners. And I welcome to the stage Regina Johnson. I haven't seen you in a dog's age either. Thank you for moderating this interesting panel. I love once again the logic and the scaffolding nature of this conversation. It's getting better and better. Welcome to everyone. I give it to you. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. We are excited to be here with you today. We have some great content for you. And actually, I will kick it off to talk a little bit about myself, and then would love for the other presenters to share a little bit about themselves. Again, we're going to be sharing some information, but definitely want to hear from the audience. So drop anything in the chat as we talk about this awesome topic. Again, my name is Regina Johnson. I sit in the Microsoft Global Partner Solutions organization, specifically in the GTM, so GTM Programs and Operations and Sales Operations org. Also overseeing the Microsoft Black Partner Growth Initiative and a liaison advocate for awesome, phenomenal partner-led associations like Women in Cloud, that Chaitra leads the Women in Tech Network, International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, and the Black Channel Partner Alliance. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm going to just turn it over. Danny, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Regina. Appreciate it. Danny Brown, the president of AppmeetUp. We're a sales training, public speaking coaching organization. We work with ISPs, MSPs, and value-added resellers. We've been doing this for quite a while. We're really excited to be part of this community and part of the panel today. Thank you.
We're going to turn it over to the next person on the call. Lesley, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Regina. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lesley Scholes. I'm the president of Teradata Canada. I'm also one of the go-to-market Geo Vice Presidents for Sales, specializing in hospitality and casinos. For those of you who don't know who Teradata is, we are an analytics software platform that works at enterprise scale. The mission of our organization is really around transforming how business, work, and people live through the power of data.
I love that. People live through the power of data. I love that tagline. Welcome, Lesley. Colleen.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Colleen Hoagland. I reside in Rhode Island in the Northeast, but I am a managing director or a partner at Accenture, and I run sales for North America for the Accenture Google Business Group.
Awesome. So as you all see in the audience, we have some powerhouses here, Accenture, Teradata, and AppmeetUp. I have a few questions for you all, but I want this to be free-flowing. I know the whole focus of this session is really talking about cloud B2B partnership. And so, Danny, I'm going to kick it off to you. And this is just a free-flowing, this is a surprise question, always on your toes. What does B2B partnership mean to you, Danny?
First of all, I'd like to say that when I think about this phrase, everyone has their own terminology. But at the end of the day, it's really about the collaboration and knowing what is important, what the partner that you're going to market with, and how you're going to actually help that business make sure you solve their needs. And a lot of times we meet with partners and we ask them, who's your ICP? And of course, as Chaitra would tell you, don't give out acronyms if you don't explain what it means. It's your ideal client profile. And you want to make sure that when you're meeting with that business partner, you understand what their need is and exactly how you fit that need. And that's what I mean. That's what I think about when you go to market and you think about B2B. It's really one business helping another business, but really making sure that they understand how to help them in a way that makes sense to them and not just giving them any solution that's out there.
Two things that you said that stood out go to market in a way that makes sense to them, and then really thinking through the partnership. And so that definitely makes sense. And I think, especially as we're thinking through these times and there's so much change, helping customers and you fellow partners be agile is a definitive need. So thank you for sharing that, Danny. Lesley, coming to you. What does B2B partnership mean?
So I think kind of building on what Danny said, right? At Teradata, we really strive to engage our partner ecosystem, right? To build pre-packaged IP, right, on our Vantage Cloud solution that addresses our customers' most complex industry-specific requirements.
Okay. IP is what stood out, and then addressing your industry, the most commonplace issues. And I think really narrowing down what is the core points that the customers are trying to meet definitely makes sense. So thank you for sharing that. And then I'm going to come to you, Colleen. What does B2B partnership mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an accumulation of all the words that have been spoken, but simply put, at the end of the day, it's demand generation, co-selling, and ensuring that there's differentiation identified to solving our customer needs, and leading potentially, the Accenture approach. And what I do in my business is always lead with an industry-led business value. But it has to resonate to our ecosystem partners, and it has to pull through our ecosystem partners.
Okay. So one common theme that I've heard across all of you all is really understanding the need for customers and then thinking through industry as we think through partnership. One of the things that I am going to come to next as we are moving through this, again, really thinking through what do we do next? Now, I know several of you all attended Inspire. And so one of the things you probably heard a lot, of course, some AI motions, but really thinking through trust. Trust is one of the things we care about very deeply. In Microsoft, I know the people on this call care about it as well, trust and credibility. And so one question that I am actually going to ask, Danny, I'm going to turn it over back to you. And the question that I would love for you to really share about is, how do people build trust and credibility with their customer, especially in this new environment? Would love your thoughts.
A couple of things come to mind. We train partners all the time, and we always tell them you got to come across authentic. Mm-hmm. If people like you, they trust you because they believe that you're authentic, that you really care about them first, and you care about their business, they're going to open up a little bit more. And that's very important. You can't come across, and I know it sounds bad, salesy, you have to come across letting them know you. And it's very important. A lot of business owners are out there, they want to know you. Are you on your own website? Do customers know that you are the subject matter expert? You're the reason why your business exists. They want to buy and they want to hear from you. So you have to be authentic, number one. And number two, get the customer to speak. I mean, I don't know anyone here, if you ask them questions about themselves, they won't brag about themselves, brag about their daughter, brag about their son. They love talking about themselves. But in a conversation, if it's all about you and everything that you can do, they're not going to be able to trust you because they don't think that you care about them. So it's very important, come across authentic, number one. And number two, ask questions that show that you're really listening and you care about them, you care about their industry, you care about their product, but you also care enough to understand their lingo. If they're in the healthcare industry, you better know those terms. If they're in the legal industry, learn those terms. You cannot apply the same conversation to every single client. So it's very important, and that's why you go back to ICP. What is your ideal client? Mm-hmm. What do they look like? What's that profile? You understand the lingo, you understand what's important to them. Now be authentic, because at the end of the day, I don't know how many times I've had house projects I need to do. I always ask my neighbors, hey, who did you use to redo the roof? Who did you use to build a pool? Who did you use as a plumber? And whatever they told me, that took place, number one, before any search online to find that handyman or that person to come fix a job for me. So customers will buy from you if they trust you. Be authentic, and that works the best. And of course, you're what I call the catalyst for these hyperscalers. They need you. As a partner, you know the client better than they do. And so you can convey that message in a way that makes sense to them, and that builds trust, credibility, as long as you're authentic.
I love the fact that you use authenticity and being authentic several times in your answer. And one of the things I'm thinking through, and really this whole conversation is thinking through, how cloud hyperscalers are working with channel partners to develop customer-centric strategies, and authenticity is the core for that. I'm actually going to come to you, Lesley, and add some more information to that question. So in your view, Lesley, what are the next big trends in establishing trust and credibility with customers in the cloud industry? And then how are you all and your team preparing your channel partners to leverage them effectively?
Yeah, great question. So when we look at building trust with a customer, I think it's always providing a true, and I'm going to use Danny's words, authentic view of how the customer can solve their specific business challenges or business needs, right? And we look at the impact of AI right now in the marketplace. I think that everyone can agree, right, that there's definitely an explosion and a lot of hype around AI, right? And that we are all quite sure that it's never really going away. However, that doesn't mean that every single customer is ready to implement AI capabilities on top of their existing analytic solutions, right? They might not be ready, right? And so being truthful and authentic would suggest that if you can't consume it, if your business users can't action on it, then it's probably not a wise investment for you to proceed, or at least proceed with caution and minimal spend, time, and effort, right? And we always find that our customers appreciate that. To help our customers jointly between our partners and Teradata, we have a number of different go-to-market sort of strategies to try and build that trust and credibility with the clients. We can offer readiness assessments, workshops, POCs, right? We can really lean on our partner organizations for change management aspects of implementing AI into an organization's resource pool, right? But really what we're trying to do is make sure that we're articulating back to the client a true assessment of what implementing AI would mean to them and what the real ROI would be if they did choose to spend time, money, and effort to augment their current analytics, right? And I think with the partners and with Teradata, we can really bring collective knowledge, right, of this new emerging technology to the enterprise, and we're really ultimately trying to deliver the best possible and most relevant solution for the client at their particular time in this journey.
I love that. And you called out AI, and this question is actually talking about future view, right? Future view and trends. But what I loved about what you said is if they aren't specifically ready right now, it's not pushing it on them, helping them understand their needs and how they can move forward. So that definitely makes sense. I think that's the epitome of building trust, really listening, Lesley.
Yeah. Someone once told me, you got to sell what somebody's buying.
Right? Right. Yeah. Or they won't be buying it.
That's right. Yes.
Colleen, I'm going to come to you, and then we're going to wrap this question up. But we wanted to start with this trends future view, but started from the trust. And I know you gave some answers about trust before, but in your opinion, what is the next big trends in establishing trust and credibility with customers, specifically in the cloud industry, and how are you all preparing? I think you may be on a mute, and I'm sure you're dropping some jewels.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was coughing earlier and I needed to mute. I actually think there's all these questions that we're all talking about are so synergistic. I mean, like Danny said, the first and foremost thing is at the end of the day, trust, credibility comes from being a trusted advisor and a partner, understanding the technology that's going to enable our clients to actually increase their EPS at the end of the day. That's what this is mostly about for our customers. Right. And then for them to solve their pains. But the uniqueness of the trends that I'm seeing and the firm is seeing, which, as we get further into this discussion, we publish a lot of the future trends for the markets. But I'm going to start with from a holistic perspective, security and compliance, data transparency and privacy. Sustainability is huge right now.
Right.
We have AI-driven insights, as Lesley spoke about, in automation. And then the other two that I feel like aren't often talked about because generative AI and data has taken such a prominent position in the market today, is around continuous innovation adoption within the cloud providers and the hyperscalers, as well as the customer support and service. And I think, the hand in hand with the trends that, as Lesley discussed, there's a lot of discussion around Gen AI. And so not putting words in our customers' mouths to get them there is, as Lesley said, wait until they're ready. There are so many new possibilities in that area. I think the other thing that as Accenture is doing to evolve and stay consistent with trends is we're investing in over $3 billion, which is public knowledge. You can research it over the next 3 years in data and AI to help clients across all those industries, to rapidly and responsibly advance the use of AI and to achieve the greater growth that they're looking for. So by waiting, by being in front of the client, I mean, Danny, you made it so crystal clear. I just had this discussion with my team in North America yesterday. I said, your job is actually easy. Go have lunch with somebody. Go listen to them. If you listen to them, you'll hear what's their pain, and then we can create that intimacy and trust. So as the trends are evolving, those are, and based on what we're seeing, it's just critical to be human and to go have a conversation with somebody, because we're also coming out of this, the COVID era where people have been on screens for so long. There's a lack of intimacy and trust that's just been, sort of sheltered. And so trying to keep it simple, but those are what I would say is really creating trust and credibility.
So you see, I started smiling, Colleen, when you said, try to keep it simple. I think a lot of times when we're trying to drive impact, and especially in this time, we make it complex. But what you said about customers, really just listening to them. And I liked how you called out some of the other trends, because these are some of the trends that customers are thinking about. Yes. Especially, I saw you nod your head, Lesley, when you talked about cybersecurity and security issues. So love that, Colleen. And I actually want to go to the next question. We talked about trust, and we were talking about trends and future view in that last question. But I want to talk about opportunities and challenges. All of you all, basically the common thread was really listening to the customers and really being authentic. So I'm going to come back to you, Danny. What unique challenges and opportunities do you anticipate in building customer trust and credibility, and specifically in the evolving cloud industry? And share a little bit about how you empower your channel partners to navigate these challenges.
Thank you very much, Regina. I appreciate it. If you look at any industry analyst, they'll tell you that the cloud's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as it gets bigger, it becomes more complex. Mm-hmm. As mentioned earlier, security, artificial intelligence. There are a lot of organizations, they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. Others are on multiple clouds and trying to figure out, should I be one or the other? So there's a lot of confusion out there in the market today. And the first thing I like to tell our partners when they work with their clients is, as you said earlier, KISS, right? Keep it simple. There's another word before that, but I prefer not to use it. It's got to keep it simple. It's very important to keep every communication with a client simple. Communication with the hyperscalers back to your clients. Everything has to be simple. Even the plan. As stated earlier, not everybody's ready for AI. And so if they're not ready on that journey, you have to be able to explain it, articulate that. And I think very, very much that at the end of the day, you just have to have a very simple plan, simple communication with the client. And if you can do all of that, the complex stuff will be what I call easily able to be digested as you move along in time. Don't do everything up front, kind of spread it out. And then over time, people start ramping up, scaling up really quickly, and things will be able to be easily digestible as you move forward.
I love what you talked about having a plan. Actually, Lesley, I'm going to come to you to expand upon that, just to make it real. Can you share a case study where the empowerment of channel partners, and like Danny said, having a plan significantly enhance the customer's perception of trust and credibility in your organization?
Yeah, I think that customers really, at the end of the day, measure us on how our technology enables their business, right? So businesses look to increase revenue or decrease costs, right? There's no other third metric about buy cloud or buy Teradata, right? It's really around how do we enable them to run their business more efficiently and optimally. So I have an example of a partner use case that we did with a global 500 bank, and it was around recognizing and identifying fraud. And it was really focused on the partner and Teradata looking at the life of the data scientist. Their current state was the data scientists were using SAS to create fraud rules in a very automated way. They weren't using AI. They weren't using any kind of real-time capabilities. And their end-to-end processing to recognize potential fraud cases took about 37 hours. So not optimal, right? The global bank asked the partner and Teradata to come in and take a look at the end-to-end process to see if we could implement changes that might make them more efficient in their fraud detection. So collectively, we put together a solution that utilized our ClearScape analytic capability, which really allowed the customer to move that 37-hour window down to 12 minutes, so a 200% increase in the amount of time that they could run the analytics. We also helped the bank to move to a Python-based model and leveraged the bring your own model capability of Teradata so that it could be run in Teradata across all of the customer data, so we could score across the entire enterprise. What this really did for the client was it helped them to identify $100 million in preventable fraud. It gave them an uptick to about 70% of fraud cases that were now detectable in a time frame that they could be actionable. And it gave them bandwidth to be able to assess over 250,000 customer journeys within an hour at peak times. So really helped to answer some of their most business critical challenges around fraud.
Two things that I'm sure the customer loves. You save them time and you save them money.
Exactly.
That's a powerful case study of how we made it real. And really, Colleen, and I can't believe we are almost at time. We might be at time. Colleen, I'm going to come to you to kind of close us out. So we've been talking about trends, future view, challenges, making it real. I want to talk about the strategic approach. How are you at your organization fostering a strategic approach among your channel partners to continually improve customer experiences? I loved how you talked about just listening. And what would you suggest to this audience in terms of systemic approach?
Yeah, I mean, I know we're of time, and I'm so grateful to be the last speaker potentially. But really, there's a couple things. There's looking at the future trends and being ahead of your customers, your partners, and your ecosystem. And so we actually publish a tech vision document that everyone can go and look at. It's by Paul Daugherty, who's our CIO, CTO. So that's part of our approach is we want to be ahead of the customer thinking, ahead of even the hyperscaler thinking, in order to be at the tip of the spear, because knowledge and knowing tech, knowing client patterns is what's a differentiator and allows us to build trust. We will continue and I think a lot of companies do this, but Accenture specifically, I've been with a lot of different organizations, does it well, is we bring the strength of our vision as well as we harness cloud, AI, and data, and all of the cloud continuum to make sure that becomes a platform for a customer to actually digest their total enterprise reinvention. And it goes back to something Lesley said and Danny said, is in order to know where a client is on their journey and then take them to that level and then beyond without them feeling overwhelmed. It's, it's like riding a bike. You have to get on, you might fall off, and you have to do that together in a partnerial advisory way. And that's really where, we bring commitment in making sure that we're continuing to educate both the world, but also our resources here at Accenture.
That's well said. I even see in the chat, Jennifer said, well said. Thank you so much for sharing that, Colleen, to really wrap us up. And what I heard from you was just doing it together. And that's what is going to be powerful as we move forward, doing these things together. And so please follow on Lesley at Teradata on LinkedIn, Colleen, Accenture at LinkedIn, Danny at AppmeetUp on LinkedIn, and then me at Microsoft on LinkedIn. We hope that you received something from this. Thank you all.